Is Kyle Shanahan the only coach in the NFL that's more important than the starting quarterback on the team? Is Kyle Shanahan the only coach in the NFL who is more important than the team's actual quarterback?
I love this. You tucked this. I'm going to say yes, because the other two that I put in his category have top tier quarterbacks, and that's Andy Reid with maybe arguably the greatest quarterback or one of them early in his career. That's Patrick Mahomes. And then I go to down south, L.A., make a stop there with McVay, and you got who I've always been in love with, Matthew Stafford. And I like Brock Purdy, but I don't put him in those guys' category. So I'm not mad at that at all. That kind of was the theme when you were out. Evan and I and the listeners talked about it. Like, Steiny, you can't deny just how important this dude is, and to even bring this up. And I'll let you answer where it's up in the air. I mean, that's a hell of a compliment for the ball coach, Kyle.
It can be for sure.
Okay.
But there's a couple things. Have the 49ers ever had a quarterback capable of being more important than Kyle Shanahan?
I would say up until this point, no. And I'm Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he maximized that thing. Oh, my goodness, right? Trey Lance, Kyle's fault, didn't get off the ground. And Brock Purdy is, again, I'm not putting him in that category of who I just mentioned with Mahomes and Stafford.
Already some real good answers, because somebody saying McDonald in Seattle is more important than Sam Darnold.
Well, see, I look at McDonald as a defensive guru. I don't give him, and maybe that's shame on me, I don't give him credit for the offense or Sam Darnold.
How about John Harbaugh now in New York with Jackson Dart?
I got to see it, because by my intel, Lamar was part of the reason they ran John out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they had success, but they never got it done. But that Kyle is just incredible. But I think you're right.
Well, I also think it's got a lot of nuance to it. So here's the argument to me why Shanahan might be more important than a quarterback in this particular team. Brock Purdy's record as a starter with the 49ers.
Okay.
What do you think it is?
Tell me how many games.
45.
I would say 45. I would say 39 and 16. Now it's 55.
30. He's 30 and 15.
Okay. Damn.
Jimmy Garoppolo was 38 and 17.
And people hated on him.
And Mac Jones was 5 and 3.
Yep.
So he's won with all three of those quarterbacks. I'm throwing out, the Beathard.
Yeah.
Who else?
Mullins.
Nick Mullins.
Yeah.
Because they're not.
I got you.
They're not around anymore. But now, there's another side to this that I do think there's something about Kyle not wanting a certain quarterback. And I'm not saying it's because it would overshadow him, but in a way, he needs the quarterback to stay in his lanes. And if the quarterback does everything Shanahan wants, he will be successful and he will put up yards and the teams will win. But Shanahan's still going to get most of the credit if the quarterback's somebody like a Purdy or a Garoppolo.
Man, Steiny, I was in that line up until they traded up in the draft and they took a quarterback that allegedly was supposed to be dynamic. And when he did that and thought that was his Ferrari, it told me, no, he wanted an upgrade. He wanted the Ferrari. So I'm with you. I felt like that to the core, but when they went and got Lance before we found out what he wasn't, I was like, Kyle's not in that. It ain't about him overshadowing or the credit. I thought Trey Lance from afar was going to be the next Steve McNair or Steve Young, something like that. Well, and it didn't. He's at fault on why that didn't happen. And what? But
I don't equate drafting Trey Lance, who was considered dynamic, as the kind of quarterback that would overshadow. I'm talking about Why do you think he didn't want Brady? Why do you think they really didn't want Aaron Rodgers?
All that stuff.
And if Trey Lance were really any good and multi-talented, Shanahan would have used him in such a way to exploit all that. But what I'm saying is, I'm not convinced he would have let Trey Lance ad-lib, because I don't think, for the most part, he really trusts quarterbacks. I think Purdy's earned the most trust from Kyle Shanahan during his tenure, but I don't think Shanahan at the end was really, in love with Garoppolo, obviously. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, I almost, we give Kyle Shanahan an unbelievable amount of credit, and rightfully so. But there is a constraint, I think, he kind of puts on a quarterback that doesn't allow that quarterback to kind of emerge on his own.
We were having some fun Friday before you got back. We played that Shasky and Bonte sound when they went to the first practice for Trey Lance, and, they were excited and they weren't by themselves. But, Stoney, I'm hearing you, but I just don't know how, again, I'm off the mark in regard to Trey never blossom into what he was going to be. But when you move mountains and use the draft capital that the Niners did to go say we're in love with this guy, I don't know how, if Trey would have had those gifts, how you suppress that talent. I don't know
he would have suppressed the talent.
How?
He wouldn't have let him run all over the place. Kyle Shanahan has always been clear. First things first, pocket pass. You must be able to throw out of the pocket. If you get flushed out of the pocket, then he wants you to run. So even though they drafted a guy who was supposed to be Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray or one of those guys, what I'm saying is Kyle wouldn't have let him do anything until he could throw from the pocket. And again, all I'm saying is I'm not sure that any quarterback can kind of overshadow Kyle Shanahan and his system, because his system is so praised that it's almost like if a quarterback doesn't play well over Shanahan's years, it's because he didn't make a good read. He should have done, it's like, Shanahan, I have option A, B, C. He didn't go in the right order. It just feels like Shanahan set something up here where if a guy can play within his system, he's going to be really good, but I don't want you doing things outside the system. And that's just kind of the way it is.
Well, in my mind, I'm thinking of Josh Allen, right? Everybody would like to have a guy that could throw from the pocket and then, ad-lib and keep the plays going. But I got to be careful here. I just want your answer here. I'm watching Brock Purdy keep plays that Kyle's dialed up, and maybe failures from the offensive line or whatnot. But what have we given Purdy credit for? His feet, his ability to get out the pocket and keep plays alive, the skedaddles. So I'm bringing that up because I don't think Kyle has ever told Brock, we don't need that. It's almost like, thank God, that's a feature that I didn't even know Brock had.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree. I mean, I think that a lot of Purdy's success Kyle gets some credit for. And anytime a guy, yes, Purdy deserves a lot of credit for being the last pick in the draft and ending up a starter on a quarterback team. But the reality is Kyle gets more credit for figuring out a way to have the last pick in the draft become his like mainstay starting quarterback. I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is at 888-957-9570, it's like, I don't, like, okay, let's take Josh Allen.
Oh my God.
If Josh Allen were to get traded to the Niners tomorrow, okay, I get it. Kyle would probably let him quarterback exactly like he quarterbacks because he likes the way he quarterbacks. But anybody outside of Josh Allen or, a big boy, I think he tries to fit him in to his system to a degree where I'm just wondering if, it's a touch constraining.
Well, and again, you could tell me if this in your world counts, but I saw what Kyle did, and again, he was the offensive coordinator for the Redskins, or Commanders back then, Redskins then, and RG3 had the ability that we're talking about, and he got Rookie of the Year and took the team to the playoffs. And I remember, during COVID when the Niners had to play their home games in Arizona, that Monday night game against Buffalo, and I'm sitting there thinking Kyle's watching Josh Allen just escape pressure and, look like Hercules and throw on the run. You had Russell Wilson when he was still good in the division. Kyler Murray had hit the scene. And I thought all that led to Kyle wanting a quarterback like that. But I don't know what we're disagreeing on. But the fact that I think Kyle, like Jimmy couldn't run. And, Jimmy started the oh-no throws. I don't think Kyle, if somebody asked him, hey, would you like a Garoppolo that can get, when everything fails, he can get out of dodge or whatnot. I don't think Kyle would say, I don't want that type quarterback.
No, I don't think he would too. But I think he puts kind of thoughts in I think at the end, he had completely lost confidence in Garoppolo, and Garoppolo
and
knew
rightfully
it.
so, yeah.